Lesson 2, Genesis 1, 2a. V'haaretz. Note long vowel, short vowel, very short vowel. V'haaretz. Accent here on the aretz. And the land or earth. V and ha, the aretz, land, and the earth. Hayeta, hayeta. 2 syllables, hayeta. So this is yeta, so hayeta. Was. Land is feminine, so it was, but in the female sense, so she was, literally. Hayeta. This first syllable, ha, ends in the vowel sound, so it's an open syllable. Ha. The second syllable, yeta. This final h is silent, as it always is at the end of a word, unless it has a dot inside it, which means it's pronounced. So this is a very, very short sound, yeta. This here, the schwa, is a vowel sound. In the Spanish and Portuguese, it is pronounced as an sound, yeta. This sign here, this thing here, with the long a, indicates a secondary accent. So, hayeta, hayeta, accent, accent. So it's a double accented word. So, v'haaretz, hayeta, the land and the land was. Tohu, in the Araki pronunciation, thohu, but in Spanish and Portuguese, and in modern Hebrew for that matter, tohu, tohu. Desolation is the translation here, but it really means confusion, emptiness, void. Tohu. So the first syllable, t, then we have this dot here, which is the sound o. It's got an invisible vav underneath it. The vav with the dot on top of it is the o sound. Dot by itself means the vav is invisible. It's here between the t and the h. So to hu. The second syllable, h, and then u, ends in the vowel. Hu, to hu. So these are both open syllables. To hu. And the accent is here. To hu. Va, bo, hu. 3 syllables. Va, bo, hu. Each of them ending in a vowel. Va, bo, hu, and 3 long vowels here. Va, bo, hu. And a waste, or a confusion, or an emptiness. Now, this b in Spanish and Portuguese is always pronounced b, va, bo, hu, with a dot or without a dot. In modern Hebrew, it is changed to v, va, vohu, but in Spanish and Portuguese, and in the pronunciation of the Galil in the north of Eretz Israel, even in the time of the Talmud, in the very, very early period of the first millennium and earlier, it was b. And in the south, in Judea, it was probably v. Va, bohu. In the Spanish and Portuguese pronunciation, it's b. Va, bohu. So each syllable here ends in the vowel sound. Va, a, bo, o, hu. U. So a, o, u. 12. v'choshech, 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 and darkness, v'choshech. So v here, ch, this is the sound that a cat makes when it's angry. V'choshech, and this here is the harsh sound at the back of the throat, like loch. V'choshech. This is sh, and this is the ch sound. We don't pronounce it k as in book, but ch. V'choshech. The eh sound here. V. This dot here on the shin is serving a double function. It's also serving as the vowel o. So v'choshech, and this is eh. V'cho, ending in a vowel sound here. V'cho is an open syllable. V'cho, and shech, ending in a consonant, is a closed syllable. So v'cho shech. Cho, open, shech, closed. Closed syllables end in a consonant, open syllables end in a vowel. The shva here, the two dots in ch, must be written, but it has no sound. Ngal pene, ngal pene. This letter here, nga, ngal pene, two syllables. On the faces of, so darkness on the faces of. Our note here says that this letter is not pronounced, but it is pronounced in the Spanish and Portuguese pronunciation, which makes life a lot easier because it means that you don't make spelling mistakes by confusing the aleph with the ngayin, and it's pronounced nga, nga. In some parts of the world, for example, in the Arabian parts of the world, it's more guttural and it's pronounced ah, further back in the throat. As one grammar book I had it said, the sound of incipient vomiting. But we don't go in for that in Spanish and Portuguese, and so we pronounce it as the sound, similar to the end of the word sing. Ngal, ngal pene, on the faces of. Our letters here are lamed, l, here it is, p, here, n, here, not to be confused with b, which has got a longer top and a longer bottom, and ngayin here. The yud here is silent. This is a long e sound, pene. We don't say pene in Spanish and Portuguese. We say ngal pene with a long e sound. This here is a hyphen or dash, and it connects these two words together. So this word here loses its accent because this then functions as one word. Ngal pene, not ngal pene, but ngal pene. So the two words upon, faces of, are pronounced as though they were one word. Tahom, tahom, the deep. Here we have the abyss, the deep place. Tahom, a syllable that begins with two consonants, as this one does here, and between them is the short eh sound. Tahom. The syllable ends in a consonant. Tahom, so it's closed. M. The yud here is silent after e or e, and so the vav is silent under the o, because this function is one letter. So this here functions as one vowel. So this vav is sometimes, as I said, invisible, and sometimes it's visible. So the dot above is O, and sometimes it has a visible vav, and sometimes it has an invisible vav beneath it. Tahom. And this here is the semicolon that divides the first part of a sentence from the second part. Here we have a selection of vowels and consonants. What I'm going to do is go through them quickly. This represents a letter, so a dot above it. This is O. This is the short E. This is the short A. Long E, long A, long E. This is a short E, a long E, a short E, a long E, a shortish E, a long A, an E, an O, same letter as this one. So O, O, invisible vav, visible vav. E, A, and U. Our letters, I'll go down, and we're going to say the sound of a letter here, not the name. H, N. This is Y, sometimes it's silent. P, B, H, sometimes it's silent. B, M, sometimes it's a glottal stop, sometimes it's silent. Glottal stop as in Israel, or Ba'a in English, sometimes it's silent. Ts, at the end of a word. V, M, H, Ch, N, R, T, P, Y, sometimes silent. H, B, N, Sh, L. Right. Mr. Harper suggests you study this table until every sign has been mastered, and it contains 16 out of the 22 letters and 11 out of the 15 vowel signs. So these are the ones we've seen so far. Observations. We have some new letters. B, always B in Spanish and Portuguese. Sh, the sound that the angry cat makes. Ch, N, P, and N. And new vowels. U, E, and O. But E and O are pronounced just the same as E and O here. These ones are called full, and these are not full. Then we have this little thing here, which is called the shava. Shava. And the shava is a vowel sound, but it's only a half vowel, a short E sound. But in Spanish and Portuguese, it is a slightly stronger E than in other pronunciations of Hebrew. While the conjunction and, vav, is usually written with the shava, v, it is once in this Latin written va. Syllables ending in a vowel sound are called open, and those that end in a consonant are called closed. In Spanish and Portuguese, there is no difference between b and b. They're both the same always, b and b. In modern Hebrew, there are b and v. H and h. H and h. Notice the little gap here, little space for the air to go through for h. And h has no space. It's harder for air to get through. H, and so it's more rough in its sound. We have the aleph, which sometimes is simply a stop of the airflow, and sometimes it is a silent letter. And we have ngayin, nga, with this symbol here. And we have vav, v, and u, with a dot inside. Notice that yud is silent after e and e, and the vav under the dot o is silent. It's invisible sometimes, or visible. So o, if it has a dot inside it, it's also silent. It's oo. And he at the end of a word is silent unless it has a dot right in the middle of a letter. The Hebrew verbal inflection, that means the endings of the verbs, distinguishes gender, which means that we can tell what's masculine or what's feminine, what's male and female, by the endings of the words, or the beginnings of some verbs. While most Hebrew words are accented on the ultima, this is Latin meaning the last syllable, there are 4 words in this lesson out of 7 that have the accent on the penult, that's the one before the last. And as shown in this position, in this lesson by the sign, this little sign here, the Hebrew says faces of abyss, not faces of abyss. That is, the first 2 words in the genitive relation change. So faces of, this section will change, and not as in Latin or Greek the second. So it can be a bit confusing if you're thinking in terms of Latin and Greek grammar, but most of you will not be. The word lesson, bohu, means emptiness or waste. Bohu. Choshech, darkness. Choshech. Haya, he was. Haya, haya, he was. Haita, haita, she was. Hayata, she was. Hayata. Choshech, darkness. Choshech, choshech, darkness. Ngal, upon or on. Ngal. Pnei, faces of. Pnei. Panim, faces. Panim. Panim, faces. Tohu, desolation or confusion or emptiness, void. Tohu. Tahom, abyss, deep place. Tahom. The word for waste, when it stands by itself, is bohu. Bohu. And not, here we have v, but this doesn't make any difference to us in Spanish and Portuguese. But he's pointing out the difference. Here it has a dagesh in the middle, meaning it's b, but in Spanish and Portuguese it's always b, so we don't have to worry about this. And in Spanish and Portuguese, t with a dot in and t without a dot in are also always the same, and so we haven't got to worry about this distinction either. Tohu and tohu are pronounced the same in Spanish and Portuguese and in modern Hebrew. Tahom and tahom are pronounced the same in Spanish and Portuguese because this dot makes no difference at the start of a word to the pronunciation. Tahom, tahom.